Don't be selfish, think about the child, my brother said, his tone dripping with the fake concern of someone who knew they were overstepping but didn't care. You have money, you can rent another place, his wife chimed in, tossing my belongings aside like clutter she was clearing out for a yard sale. I didn't argue, I simply smiled, turned around, and walked out. 48 hours later, the expression on their faces when they realized I'd changed the locks was something I'd remember forever. My grandmother had always told me family promises were sacred, that blood always came first. I believed her. I built my life on that belief. But when I came back to New York City after a work trip and found my brother living in my apartment, I realized how naive I'd been. "Oh, look who's back," Nathan said with a grin far too casual for the situation. He lounged in my living room with his feet propped on my coffee table, the same table my grandmother had found at a flea market in New Orleans, the one I'd spent hours sanding and staining. Now it was marked with sticky rings from forgotten coffee cups and littered with crumbs. Jessica, his wife, sat beside him scrolling through her phone, as if nothing about this was awkward. Their son played on the floor with a small toy car. Not just any toy car, my toy car. A miniature Chevy Camaro my grandfather had given me when I was a child. A knot tightened in my stomach. I dropped my suitcase by the door, my eyes darting over the wreckage. My Moroccan rug was crumpled, stained with juice. A painting I had hung with precision now hung crooked. My framed photos gone. "What are you doing here?" I asked, my voice even, though inside my pulse raced. Jessica gave a light, fake laugh. "Well, Nathan thought that since you were away, we could settle in. It's hard to find a good place with a kid, and since this was Grandma's house." "Grandma's house?" I interrupted. "You mean the apartment she left to me in her will?" Nathan stood up, wearing that practiced older brother look of righteous authority. "Come on, you're alone, we have a child, do you really need this much space?" I clenched my teeth. "This is mine, Nathan, not the family's, mine." He sighed dramatically. "Don't be selfish, Lauren, think about the kid." They weren't just stealing my home, they were trying to twist it into a moral failing on my part. "How did you have the nerve to move in without telling me?" I asked. "We're just here until we find something better," he replied with a shrug. But they weren't temporary guests, they'd replaced my life with theirs. My grandmother's hand-knitted blanket was gone from the couch, swapped for a synthetic throw with teddy bears. My lavender plant had vanished, replaced by formula cans. Every change screamed that I didn't belong here anymore. Jessica stood, folding her arms. "If you were generous, we wouldn't be having this conversation." I laughed once, sharp and humorless. "If you were decent, we wouldn't be having it either." They thought I'd roll over like I always had, they had no idea. The smell hit me before I even stepped inside, cheap bleach mixed with damp air from the building's morning cleaning. But when I reached my door, all I could smell was intrusion. The door was ajar, the lock had been changed. Nathan and Jessica hadn't just moved in, they'd claimed the apartment as theirs. My belongings were stacked in boxes in the hallway like I was some tenant being evicted. "What's going on?" My voice cut through the air like glass. Nathan strolled out of the kitchen holding a coffee cup, completely at ease. "Oh, Lauren, back early? Why are my things in boxes?" I demanded. He set the cup down with a little thud. "Jessica thought it would be better to reorganize the space. The kid should have his own room." "His own room?" I echoed. "This isn't his house, it's mine." Jessica wandered in, a bowl of cereal in hand. "You have money, you can rent somewhere else." I stared at her. "Excuse me?" Nathan tried a softer tone. "We're just saying you could share, it would really help us out." "Share? You're not sharing, you're taking." Jessica set her bowl down, her voice dripping with disdain. "You're so selfish, Lauren. And you're freeloaders." I shot back. Nathan's expression hardened. "There's no need to make this ugly." "Oh, it's already ugly. Get out of my apartment. Mom and Dad think it would be best if we use this place," he added. And there it was, the real culprit. This wasn't just Nathan and Jessica. Our parents were behind it, pulling the same tired strings they'd always used. For years, I'd been the strong one, the one expected to give in for the family. Not anymore. "Interesting," I said, my voice cold. "Let's see what a judge thinks." Both of them froze. "I have the will. I have photos of my belongings in boxes. Proof you changed the locks and moved in without permission. Are you sure you want to test me?" Nathan clenched his jaw. Jessica whispered something to him, but his eyes stayed locked on me. For the first time, I saw fear there. They weren't used to this version of me, the one who didn't play the understanding sister. I didn't have a flawless plan yet, but one thing was certain: this wasn't going to end the way they thought. Nathan dragged a hand through his hair, frustration etched into his face, his eyes darted between Jessica and me, searching for some quick escape from the mess they'd made. Jessica, of course, was perfectly comfortable playing the wounded party. "Lauren, you don't have to be like this, we're just trying to organize things as a family." I laughed right in his face. "Organize? No, Nathan, organizing means asking permission before barging into someone else's home. What you're doing is theft." Jessica scoffed and crossed her arms. "Oh my God, the drama, we just want a better life. At my expense." She shrugged, as if I'd just pointed out something obvious. Nathan's tone hardened. "You know what? Mom and Dad are right, you think you're better than us just because you have money and can afford to live alone." There it was, the low blow. I felt the heat rise in me but kept control. "Think I'm better? I don't need to think it. Nathan, I am." His jaw locked. Growing up, Nathan had been the golden child, the son, the eldest, never at fault. I'd been the one told to share, to help, to bend. Now I had something he couldn't stand, my own independence, and he hated it. "Look, Lauren," he began, trying that forced patient voice again, but I cut him off. "No, you're going to listen to me now." I pulled out my phone and scrolled to the police non-emergency line. "I'm calling the police." Nathan's eyes widened. Jessica let out a disbelieving laugh. "You wouldn't dare." I hit speaker and pressed dial. 1, 2. "Wait." Nathan lunged forward, grabbing my arm. I looked at him, ice in my smile. "Yes? Please, no need to make this bigger than it is." "Bigger than breaking into my home, changing the locks, and shoving out the legal owner?" He swallowed. "Just give me a couple of days." Jessica's head snapped toward him. "A couple of days? Are you serious?" He ignored her, eyes locked on mine. "We'll leave." I ended the call before it connected, tucking my phone away. 48 hours. Nathan, not a minute more. I grabbed one of my boxes and headed for the door. At the threshold, I turned back. "And if anything of mine goes missing, I'll press charges anyway." I didn't wait for a response. The adrenaline hit as I stepped onto the street. Nathan was cornered, and he knew it, but I also knew he wouldn't go quietly. So I made 3 calls. First, to a locksmith. If they weren't out in 2 days, I'd be the one changing the locks. Second, to my lawyer, because unlike my family, I prepared for problems. Third, to Mom. She picked up instantly, her voice dripping with false concern. "Lauren, sweetheart, why all the fuss? Nathan said you had a hysterical meltdown." "How long have you known they moved in?" I asked. A pause, confirmation enough. "Don't see it that way, they have a child." "Lauren, so you did know." "Don't exaggerate. If it were someone else's place, maybe, but this is your brother. Family helps family." "No, Mom, family doesn't steal from family." "Lauren." I hung up. I expected the guilt campaign, and it came fast. Calls, texts, voicemails, Mom pleading about my nephew being homeless, Dad asking me to think this through, Nathan accusing me of acting like a child, Jessica playing the victim. I ignored them all. On the second morning, right on schedule, the locksmith arrived. He eyed the lock. "They changed it without your permission?" "Yes," I said flatly, "and now I want it back." 30 minutes later, my apartment was mine again. Nathan called at noon. I didn't answer. By 5, he was pounding on the door, shouting my name. I sat on the couch with my coffee, letting his voice fade. 10 minutes later, he left. The next day, Mom insisted we meet at a coffee shop. She arrived with her signature martyr's expression. "This has gone too far. Nathan is devastated. He's devastated because he can't freeload anymore. He's your brother. Not my responsibility. Family should always help each other." I leaned in. "If I broke into Nathan's home, changed the locks, and kicked him out, would you defend me?" She stayed silent. "That's what I thought." "Why are you doing this?" "Because for once, I'm not letting anyone walk over me." She stood, defeated. "I just hope one day you understand family. And I hope one day you understand respect." That night, back at my apartment, I found an envelope under the door. Inside, Nathan's messy handwriting. "Congratulations, you won, but don't be surprised when you need something and no one's there. I laughed and tore it in half. Nathan and Jessica were gone. The silence in my apartment was no longer invasion, it was victory. But I knew them, it wasn't truly over. Sunday morning proved me right. My phone rang. Mom. I ignored it. 2 minutes later, Dad called. I sighed and ignored the call. Then my phone rang again, from a number I didn't recognize. Who is this? I asked when I answered. Lauren, it's Dad. Of course, they were calling from a new number because they knew I wouldn't answer otherwise. What do you want? Listen, he said tiredly, your mother and I have been talking. Can we meet? No. There was a tense silence. Lauren, we can't keep going like this. Oh, really? I said sarcastically, because I can. Nathan's in a really bad place. I laughed. Right, is it because he can't live off me anymore? Dad sighed. It's not that I don't care. Don't call me again asking for favors. I hung up before he could say more. It was the first time I'd ever hung up on my father, and it felt good. The next few weeks were peaceful. No Nathan, no Jessica, no one trying to control my life. But it didn't last. A month later, Jessica messaged me. Lauren, I know you're angry, but Nathan's been really depressed. He's not himself. Can we talk? I looked at the message, unsure whether to laugh or block her. Depressed? More like upset his easy life at my expense was over. I blocked her. Months later, at a family gathering, my cousin told me Nathan's plan to find a better place failed. Without my apartment, he and Jessica had to rent a small place in New Jersey. And then Jessica left him. She said she was tired of him doing nothing. My cousin said she took the kid and filed for divorce. I smiled. Karma. Over time, my parents tried to fix things between us, but it wasn't the same. I wasn't their obedient daughter anymore, and they didn't know how to deal with that. Eventually, they stopped trying. The last time I saw Nathan was by accident. I was walking past a coffee shop. He saw me, I saw him, we both kept walking. Now my apartment was truly mine. No toys scattered around, no rearranged furniture, no intruders. I walked into the living room with my coffee, enjoying the silence. Before, silence felt lonely. Now, it felt like freedom. I opened my laptop to post something I'd written on Reddit the night before. My brother and his wife took over my apartment because they needed it more. When I kicked them out, my family made me the bad guy. Now my brother's broke, his wife left him, and my parents want to pretend nothing happened. They call me cold and say family is everything, but why am I always the one who has to understand? Should I forgive them or cut them off? I read the post again and thought about Dad's recent message. Lauren, can we talk? Your mother is worried. Worried about Nathan being broke? About Jessica leaving? About their kid living in a smaller apartment? Not about hurting me. Not about feeling guilty. I took a deep breath. Whatever I decided now would shape my life. I could ignore them forever. I could give them another chance. I could get revenge. I didn't know, so I hit post. By morning, my post had gone viral. Thousands of comments poured in. Many supported me, but some didn't. I get that your brother was wrong, but did he really have to end up like this? The apartment was your grandmother's, and you were both her grandkids. Maybe Nathan deserved something too. Kicking him out in 48 hours was harsh. That one stung because they were right about something. My parents had always taken Nathan's side. He was the golden child. I had to earn their approval, and even then, it never seemed enough. But my grandmother was different. She made me feel loved and seen. That's why she left me the apartment. It wasn't favoritism, it was love. Still, my parents twisted it, telling me I didn't need that much space and that Nathan's needs were more important. As I read more comments, I realized I wasn't just angry about this situation, I'd been angry for years. Angry that my parents never chose me. I had always pretended I didn't care, but I did, and that hurt most of all. Now I didn't know if I wanted to keep a relationship with them. The question stayed with me as the comments kept coming in. And for the first time, I wasn't sure I wanted to read anymore.